It's never been clear if ancient cave paintings such as these in northern Mexico were intended as simple decoration or to record the success of a hunt. It has even been suggested that such images could be a kind of homage to the animals whose life and death was essential for the continuing survival of the tribe. What is certain is that most ancient religions involved the worship of elements of nature in order to ensure continued life. In the extraordinary city of Teotihuacan, high in the central mountains of Mexico, temples were built 2 centuries before the time of Christ to honor the sun and the moon. Prayers and sacrifices were made to the gods to make certain that the sun would rise again each morning out of the darkness of the night. They prayed to the seasons to ensure satisfactory harvests. Unlike the pyramids of Egypt, there is no evidence that these buildings contain any graves. They weren't built to honor a living being. They were built as part of a temple complex to reach up to the sky. It is likely that only the chief priests would have stood on top of these pyramids. But today, millions of tourists each year clamber upwards. The warm rays of the Mexican sunshine still have the same, almost religious attraction that they had many centuries ago. It is still believed that personal power can be reinvigorated if you touch the central spot at the top of the pyramid and reach for the sky while the sun is overhead. It may just be a mixture of pagan belief and ancient superstition, but who's to say it won't work? Building started in 200 BC, but the Teotihuacan Empire only flourished for 9 centuries. After a major crop failure, the population faced starvation. They turned on their gods and priests for failing to protect them from famine. The civil unrest led to the burning of the city, and the population of an estimated 200,000 simply disappeared into the jungle. Teotihuacan became a ghost town. Amazingly, the site remained hidden for 500 years before a new race of people called the Aztecs rediscovered it. They were so overwhelmed by the sight of these massive buildings that they gave it the name Teotihuacan, which means the place where gods are born. They too worship the sun, and one of their finest remains is the 4-meter diameter sunstone, which is an accurate seasonal calendar. They were a nomadic tribe wandering across central Mexico until they saw an eagle sitting on a cactus eating a snake. They took it as a sign from the sun god to settle on an island in the middle of Lake Texcoco. This is now the site of Mexico City. The surrounding waters offer protection and enable them to build floating gardens to provide land to grow their crops. Their water-based lifestyle is still evident in Xochimilco. They built their temple on the main island, similar in style to the pyramids of Teotihuacan. Templo Mayor has only recently been rediscovered in the center of Mexico City and is still being excavated. The Aztecs believed in human sacrifice to satisfy their god's desire for blood. In one 4-day ceremony, 20,000 people were sacrificed. Some were volunteers who believed that such a death was an honorable step towards their heaven, but most were enemies taken in battle. This carved animal had a bowl in its back to carry the hearts torn from the bodies of living sacrifices. The Aztec temples were decorated with the images of skulls, a carved version of the real skulls which were displayed on poles. Although the majority of modern Mexicans are Catholic, there is a very real continuation of Aztec beliefs and rituals, hopefully without the blood sacrifices. This ceremony in the main square of Mexico City was much more than just play acting for tourists. It was obvious that real belief systems were being displayed beneath the colourful headdresses.
las grandes ciudades que todavía existen, que para nosotros están vivos, porque aquí estamos. Pues bien, aquí estamos. No nos han podido acabar. Somos los hijos de los hijos de los hijos de los hijos.
In the end, religion caused the downfall of the Aztec Empire, when a small band of Spanish invaders on horseback were mistaken for gods. They killed the Emperor Montezuma II and marched on to conquer all of Mexico. The Spanish outlawed all previous religious practices and demanded, under pain of death, that the people became Catholic. The Aztec temples were destroyed, and the stones used to build new cathedrals, such as here in Mexico City. Ironically, the soft soil of the Aztec lake may eventually pull down these buildings through subsidence. The plumb line hanging from the ceiling demonstrates how much off the vertical the cathedral already is. The Catholic breakthrough came in 1531, when a native Indian had a miraculous vision of the Virgin Mary. It was seized on by the Catholic Church as proof that Christianity was for all Mexicans, not just the Spanish. The Virgin of Guadalupe is much more than a national patron saint. She was born from a mix of Spanish and native cultures. The modern basilica is the second most visited shrine in the Christian world, with more than 6 million pilgrims each year. Mexico City is the fourth largest city in the world. Although with shanty towns acting as a magnet for untold millions, the population is certainly larger than can be estimated. More than a quarter of the total population of the country live here, crowding in to find employment and hoping not to join the ever-growing line of unemployed, advertising their skills beside the cathedral. It has the reputation for being one of the most polluted cities in the world, not helped by traffic that seems to spend as much time in traffic jams as it does moving. Mexico remains a melting pot of religions and cultures. The official image may be of state Catholicism imposed by European invasion, but ancient Central American beliefs refuse to die. Ordinary conversations turn easily to our Aztec heritage, despite the fact that their destruction was nearly 500 years ago. In the midst of this bustling modern city, people still queue to be blessed in ancient ways. At night, the city still resounds to the pounding of feet, stirred by the rhythm of ancient drums. The past and the present come face to face. Here, beside the Catholic cathedral, built of stone salvaged from the destruction of the Aztec temple, people still gather to worship ancient elements of nature. And meanwhile, the moon that was worshipped in the temples of Teotihuacan 2,000 years ago still gazes down in silence.